Brother, there is a very simple truth that few men are ever told directly. Women do not look at a man and immediately start rationally analysing whether he is good or bad, trustworthy or not, compatible or not. No, most of the time, they feel first, and only afterward use logic to explain that feeling. The body reacts first, the mind follows. That is not being emotional, that is biology. The emotional brain is always faster than the rational brain, and because men don't understand this, they often try to fix things in the wrong place. They try to speak more cleverly, try to act more interesting, try to execute the right techniques, while her initial feeling has already formed very early. Just a few seconds. Before she even has the conscious thought, do I like this guy? Modern psychology calls this the preconscious process. It means the brain automatically reads your energy first. The way you walk into the room, whether your steps are rushed or relaxed, whether your voice is hurried or steady, whether your breathing is stable or shaky, whether your eyes are tense or calm. Tiny, ordinary details, but the human body senses them before it has words for them. Attraction does not begin with reasons. It begins with a biological reflex, combined with a vague but very real sense of safety. There are men who don't need to do anything special. They don't grab the spotlight, don't try to be loud, don't desperately seek approval. But the moment they show up, the atmosphere changes. Women haven't said anything yet, but something in their body shifts rhythm. The heartbeat changes slightly. Attention naturally orients toward that man. And most men never notice this moment, so they end up trying too hard at the wrong time. Listen carefully to this if you are busy learning which exact sentence to say, which move to make, how to text so you don't mess up. Then you are always moving behind her natural reflex. By the time she's consciously thinking, should I like him, her body has already answered, and everything in this is not for you to perform, nor to manipulate anyone. It exists so you understand something very real. Men are attractive not because they try harder, but because they are the kind of men a woman's emotions automatically respond to even before she can think of a reason why. Let me make this clear from the start. What women are attracted to is not the loud, shouting alpha who speaks big and tries to prove he is stronger than everyone else, but it is also not fake silence pretending to be cold, withdrawn, quiet, just to look dangerous. These two types may appear different on the surface, but they are the same in one key way. Both are trying to prove something, and whenever a man still needs to prove himself, his energy is unstable. What truly makes women pause, pay attention, and feel something different is a man who is internally stable, a man who enters a room with an unhurried pace, a man who speaks in an even tone, not rushed, a man who does not overreact when someone challenges him or ignores him. That is calm confidence. And listen carefully. Calm confidence is not awkward silence, not a cold stare at the world. Calm confidence is the ability to regulate your own energy. You know when to speak and when to stop, when to move forward and when to stay still. You do not react impulsively just to fill space. You do not rush to explain yourself just to be understood. You allow things to unfold at your pace, not at the pace of the fear of being overlooked. Modern neuroscience calls the foundation of this state nervous system regulation. A man who can remain calm, not tense, not fidgety, subconsciously transmits a sense of safety to those around him. Women are especially sensitive to this. They feel your nervous system through very small signals, whether your voice trembles, whether your breathing is rushed, whether your movements are jerky or smooth. You do not need to say, I'm confident. If you truly are confident, your body will speak for you. And here is the warning. If you constantly feel the need to be noticed, to be responded to be reassured that you're okay or you're good enough, you're unintentionally signaling that you lack options. A man with options does not become anxious about being overlooked. He does not panic when attention does not come immediately. He stays grounded on his own axis. And when a man stands firmly in that axis, women do not need to consciously analyze him. They simply feel that this man is different in a way that makes them feel safe, curious, and drawn to come closer. There is one thing many men do not want to admit. Male attention is not rare at all. Out there are countless men staring, texting non-stop, responding instantly, ready to rearrange their schedules and emotions just to be noticed. And precisely because it is so easy, it no longer holds value. What women truly cannot ignore is attention with standards. not giving less attention just to look high value, but attention that is given with control, with choice, with awareness. When you do not hand out your gaze, your time, or your reactions impulsively, her body begins to sense a very subtle difference. But understand this correctly, not responding immediately is not playing games. Not fixating your eyes is not pretending to be indifferent. It is simply this: you do not let your emotions be pulled by just anyone who appears in front of you. You respond when you choose to, not when you are triggered. And that state creates something very specific in female psychology: pleasant uncertainty. Behavioural science calls it intermittent reinforcement. When the brain cannot predict the reward, dopamine spikes more strongly. What does that mean? It means when you are sometimes warm, sometimes you pull your attention back to yourself while remaining steady. Not cold, not irritated, her brain begins to pay closer attention. She starts wondering why your attention feels different from everyone else's. Why when it is present, it is clear and grounded, and when it is absent, it does not feel forced back. From that moment, the human brain begins doing what it does best: investing. We naturally invest more in what we have to decipher, in what is not given too easily. Not because it is difficult to obtain, but because it seems to have depth behind it. Selective attention opens imagination. Imagination fills the gaps, and those gaps are exactly where attraction is born. She does not need you hovering every minute. She needs the feeling that when you give her your attention, it is because you chose to, not because you had no other options. And this is the most important principle of this section. Women do not want all men. They want the man who does not give away his entire self too early, the man who maintains his own rhythm of life, the man whose attention carries weight. When that happens, she's not just being noticed, she feels chosen. And that feeling, many men try to compete for it with words, but very few are able to create it through energy. It may sound gentle, but in reality this is the clearest boundary between a mature man and a man who still reacts like a child. Listen carefully to this. Emotional safety is not weakness. It is also not about always being gentle, accommodating, or trying to be the nice guy. Emotional safety is simply this: you do not react childishly to other people's emotions. When a woman opens her mouth to share, to complain, or to speak about things that are not yet clearly organized, most men react immediately. Some become defensive, explaining and proving they are right. Some jump in to fix things, give advice, and try to solve it quickly. Some retreat into uncomfortable silence because they feel annoyed. But a mature man does something different. He listens without fixing. Not because he has no solutions, but because he understands. Emotions do not always need to be fixed. They need to be held. He listens without rushing to argue back. He does not mock her emotions. He does not turn her experience into a debate. And most importantly, he does not turn a woman's emotions into his responsibility. He does not feel that he must make her happy, must make her okay, must carry everything she is feeling. He remains grounded in his own emotional state, while still allowing the other person to be who they are. This state creates something very powerful at a biological level. When women feel unjudged, unevaluated, and not pressured to be right, cortisol levels in their body decrease. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And when cortisol drops, oxytocin increases. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Combined with dopamine already present from curiosity and attention earlier, a foundation for deep bonding begins to form. She no longer has to tense her body when she's near you. Her voice slows down, her shoulders relax, the physical distance closes without her even realizing it. This is not a psychological trick. This is a natural biological reflex when a person feels safe. But you need to remember one very important thing. Emotional safety only has value when it comes with self-control. If you listen but lose your center, if you understand but lose yourself, that is not maturity, that is dependency. A man who controls himself well is respected first and foremost, not because of what he says, but because he does not allow other people's emotions to pull him off his axis. And it is precisely this steadiness that makes women not only feel comfortable, but begin to feel something more, that this man is reliable, and when a man is respected, his attraction moves into an entirely different level. There is a truth that sounds counterintuitive, yet it aligns with real life more than any sugar-coated advice. Women do not form deep bonds with men who are willing to sacrifice everything for them. Not because women are bad, but because deep down, they do not feel value. What truly creates attachment is a man who has a life of his own worth stepping into, not a man who empties his life and waits for a woman to fill it. When a man has clear goals, meaningful work, a daily rhythm, and something he actively pursues, his presence carries a completely different weight. Having purpose is always more attractive than having excessive free time. Not chasing, not proving does not mean being cold or indifferent. It simply means you do not need to run after anyone to prove that you are enough. You walk alongside, not behind. You care, but you do not trade away your center just to gain temporary attention. And this is where a quiet test begins to appear. Not a test through tension, not by making her uncomfortable, not by creating drama. The real test is that you're not easily prioritized. Your time has structure. Your energy has direction. Your attention must be placed intentionally. In modern evolutionary psychology, this is called mate value signaling. A man who is not easily obtained, not easily pulled away from his own life, is evaluated by the brain as higher value. Because the human brain makes a silent inference if someone can maintain his own axis. It means he has options. And a man with options does not cling. When a woman realizes that you like her but do not depend on her, that you want her but do not need her to feel complete, something unusual begins to happen. She starts investing more. She wants to become part of your world, rather than the center of it. And at this stage, attraction is no longer about words or actions, it is about position. She intuitively understands that your attention is not available to just anyone, and if she wants to retain it, she must rise to meet you at eye level, rather than sit and wait for you to sacrifice more. This is why a man with standards, a structured life, and clear boundaries consistently creates deeper attraction than a man who is always ready to trade everything just to be beside someone. Many men eliminate themselves without ever realizing it. Not because they are bad, not because they lack effort, but because they are too one-dimensional. Most men operate with a single familiar kind of energy, either too serious, too playful, too soft, or too rigid. Once a woman has finished reading that man, emotional interest begins to cool. There is nothing left to discover, but memorable men are different. They have multiple emotional layers, all held within a stable core. He can be strong yet still warm. He can be calm yet still playful. He can be firm with his standards without shutting others out. This combination creates a very specific emotional contrast. Science calls this emotional contrast, when the brain experiences not just one emotion, but several layered together. Dopamine is activated more strongly, and a repeating curiosity loop forms. She cannot place him neatly into a familiar category like other men. She has not fully defined him yet, and that is exactly why she keeps thinking about him. Women feel attraction most intensely when they feel both safe and intrigued, when they feel understood, yet sense there are still layers they have not touched. If you are always predictable, always reacting the same way, the brain stops investing. But when you maintain your core while remaining emotionally flexible, women sense depth. Not depth of words, but depth of experience when they are near you. They feel that being with you is not boring, not stressful, but also not flat. And this is the core philosophy. She does not fall in love with what she has completely figured out. She falls in love with what makes her want to explore a little more. One more layer, one more meeting. When a man creates that feeling, without forcing, without overdoing anything, women naturally keep his image alive in their minds, and once emotion gets anchored there, everything else becomes a matter of time. Now comes the final truth that many people do not want to hear, because it forces them to look directly at themselves. Women do not love effort. They do not fall in love with trying harder, with sacrificing too much, with revolving around them all day hoping for recognition. What they love at the deepest level is a man with direction, a man who knows where he is going, what he is building, and does not need daily validation to feel worthy. Purpose is stronger than validation. When you have a purpose, your words change, your eyes change, and the way you live each day changes. You're not pulled around by fleeting emotions. You do not become overly excited when you are noticed, nor do you collapse when you are ignored. Discipline creates stability, and stability creates presence. You do not need to say you are strong. Your way of living reflects it automatically. Women sense a man's purpose very quickly, not through bragging or achievements, but through consistency, through rhythm, through the fact that he does not trade his path for a passing emotion. And when a man has a clear direction, he does not need to hold anyone in place. He does not need to persuade. He does not need to prove anything. Those who are not aligned will step away on their own. Those who are aligned will step onto the path he's already walking because they see a destination there, not an empty space waiting to be filled. This is not advice for being cold or distant. It is a reminder to live correctly. When you focus on building your life, attraction does not need to be manufactured, it arises naturally. And remember this line: you do not need to learn how to attract women. You need to learn how to become the man that attraction responds to automatically.